Every time I upload a video, it's actually a business transaction with YouTube. And this business transaction is important, I think, for people to understand, because many people don't have a fundamental mechanical understanding of what the relationship is between YouTube creators and YouTube itself. And this isn't for people that are on YouTube all the time, probably most people that watch this video, but for people that have and understand it intuitively, but people that are in power and do not understand YouTube, but maybe will come across this video. So at its core, what's happening is that I am licensing every single video to YouTube. It's implicit in my agreement with YouTube. I am the, licensee, and they are the licensor, and I make a video, and then when I upload it, they agree to license it from me. That's what's really taking place. It's a license agreement with a revenue split. I get the majority of the revenue, slightly, 55%, and they get 45%. And so every single video I upload is a video licensed to YouTube. And both parties, YouTube and myself, have an implicit understanding and agreement that we do not have to accept the license. YouTube at any time can say, I don't want to license your video, get it off the platform. And I can say, I don't want to upload it to YouTube, I can upload it on Facebook or YouTube. It's a non-exclusive license agreement, right? And both parties are free to take that license agreement and not, get rid of it. But for the most part, YouTube is open to licensing any type of video. It's gotten more complex as years have gone on. I have to have a certain amount of subscribers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to get the kind of YouTube partner program. But at its core, it is a license agreement, and this is implicit in every single upload. It's also explicit too. You can go read the terms of service. That's what's actually taking place. You are entering into a business contractual relationship on every single video. Let's talk about where this gets tricky, right? So what's really going on, I think a good metaphor for this, is that every single time I upload a video, it's really like I get a little book deal, right? Like Penguin Publishers is just publishing a little book for me. And they throw it out and out into the ether. And if people want to read it, fine. That's kind of akin to what's going on. Just like YouTube, I make a video and YouTube publishes it for me, right? They license it out to the wider world. Much unlike a small, novella, daily novellas. In some ways, right, it's not so much a First Amendment freedom of speech standing on the street thing as it is just a capitalist business agreement. But let's go further down this rabbit hole. So if what's really going on is that I'm getting little book deals here, with every video is like a little book deal, and it gets distributed out, and they're agreeing to publish it. Right? What is YouTube really then? YouTube is the largest op-ed publisher in the world, right? So if newspapers have, the classic column where they have opinion pieces, and those opinion pieces are licensed. Somebody writes out their opinion on what's going on with Trump or the Iraq War, or whatever it may be, and then they license it to the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, and New York Times pays to, we'll license this piece of content for you and run it on our newspaper. Now, some are one-off licenses, some are, recurring op-eds, they're kind of Dear Sally's or whatever. It's just that recurring license agreement. Like, here's my piece of content, I'm licensing it to the New York Times, it's an opinion piece. Now, the New York Times, right, may be a news organization, but it also has opinion pieces. So what is YouTube then? YouTube is a massive op-ed publisher. What it basically does is it is the newspaper to the world and opinion pieces. Every single person uploading is an opinion, right? That's ultimately what it is for the 98%. It's just opinion videos, whether it be opinions on cooking or news or technology. It's just a massive op-ed newspaper where every single YouTube creator is uploading a video and entering into a license agreement with YouTube, and YouTube is deciding to publish their opinion. That's what's taking place at its core, is that YouTube is ultimately the largest op-ed publisher. But you notice I'm using the word publisher a lot. And this is when it gets tricky, is that YouTube and Facebook to some degree don't like the term publisher, because publisher then ties them to certain legal obligations that would make on some level YouTube and Facebook impossible. Publishers are required in some ways, because when you publish something, they're liable for libel or defamation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Even if it is an opinion piece, right? The New York Times publishes an op-ed that they've licensed, just as like YouTube is licensing a video that is an opinion on something. The New York Times licenses an op-ed, and this op-ed calls somebody just the most horrendous, heinous things ever. And the guy's like, "What? I got a family of 5. I'm just chilling. What are you doing, bro?" And he sues the newspaper, and he takes it to court, and the judge is like, "Yeah, you guys just made that stuff up and just ruined his life." The newspaper's liable for that. They can't just ship that off onto the opinion writer, whereas YouTube is not liable for that at the moment. And the reason why YouTube is not liable for that is that they have made an argument that they are not actually a publisher, they are just kind of a holder of content, right? They're not responsible on some level for the things that get uploaded to their site. And this is true and this isn't true. This is why it gets into such murky territory with like Alex Jones and the algorithm and like what can YouTube curate, what can't it curate, what is the recommended bar, you know, how much of an active hand can YouTube take without it being considered a publisher, even though it really is kind of the world's biggest opinion publisher that ever existed. Because if they take too active a hand, their previous argument in the United States, where they can't be responsible for anything that's uploaded, suddenly starts to fall apart, and they can be held accountable for the things that are uploaded to their platform, much like the New York Times is. Right now, that's not the case, and they worry if they take too much of an active hand about curating, whatever the top videos are, or whatever the recommended videos, or revealing how their algorithm operates, that then they'll be liable to just get sued for all kinds of things. So, at its core, though, YouTube still is a publisher on some level. It's still, entering in license agreements, right? That is, is a business transaction. Now, the thing about YouTube is that its scale is so enormous, right, that there's no real market competitor to it. That's why it's kind of the op-ed for the world, right? It functions as a massive public forum to the world. And that is also tricky, right? Because there's multiple newspapers. And so, if you don't have your op-ed in Wall Street Journal, and New York Times, right? One, there's other newspapers, and two, their audience is relatively small. So just because your op-ed doesn't get in the New York Times doesn't mean like, oh no, my voice won't be heard. Darn it! Like, there's some prestige and power that comes with the New York Times, but it is not silencing you to not get in the New York Times, as it may be if you are no longer able to upload or speak on YouTube, because YouTube controls the massive kind of front page of the internet. Anyway, these are interesting, complex ideas to think about, but ultimately, every single video you watch of mine is a licensor agreement between YouTube and myself. It is a business transaction. Anyway, just some food for thought. Thanks as always for watching, guys. If you want to suggest another topic down below, great. Or watch another video, click around. Thanks as always for watching.